The year 2020. We might as well just do a complete do-over. A Control-Alt-Delete for 2020. I mean, to me it kind of felt like January, February, March, lockdown, December. It's extremely frustrating. But with every crisis that has ever hit mankind, there's change that's happening. Now, as investors, we need to stay on top and aware of the changes happening in industries and around the world. Companies and people are thinking different. They're migrating with their ideas into new segments. But once again, as investors, for us it's important to understand where the opportunities and threats are with our current investment holdings. Why is it important? Because as the world changes, your money should change along with it, not move in the opposite direction. And with big changes happening, there's a very big likelihood that you could be positioned for only the downside instead of the upside of these massive opportunities. So let's take a look at some of the biggest trends in 2020. So what has already happened, but also what is likely to dominate the world in future years to come. So the world is changing quicker and faster than ever before. We know that, right? But your money, is that also changing? Is that also adapting to what's happening in the world? Are you adapting to what's happening in the world? Think about 2019. What would you do if you wanted to meet up with a friend? You would phone them up and say, hey, let's go for drinks, let's go for dinner, Bob's your uncle. Think about 2020. That's entirely not the case. Technology such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams actually made it possible for us to see weddings, to have dates, to see family, all virtually. Now, it didn't only disrupt your life on a personal level. Think about work-wise. What did you do in 2019? You woke up at 5 just to get onto the N3 by 6 a.m. to get to your job at 7, to sit in traffic, have meetings the entire day, face-to-face meetings, that said, and then eventually drive back in traffic, getting to your house exhausted. Whereas to now, you've got different options. First of all, the companies realized that, hey, we can actually work remotely. Second of all, they realized we don't need all this office space. Many companies are moving to a system whereby it's a hot seat system where 1 to 4 people will share a seat in different times in the week. Makes sense, right? So Zoom and Microsoft Teams has actually posted this cloud over the property industry, where, as I said, big corporate companies will be moving into smaller office spaces. But not only that, think of the way that you used to do shopping. 10 years ago, whenever you wanted something, you'd have to leave your couch, get in your vehicle, drive to the mall, and walk from each store to another. Well, that you can still perhaps do that if you choose to do so. But myself, as a man, I choose not to do that. But why? There's technology at my disposal to go onto the internet and search for different specials in different places. But even better than that, I don't even have to get off the couch now to get whatever I need. It can be delivered to my door. So not even in the case of only retail products, but food, clothes, groceries, every single thing can be delivered to your door. So what we're referring to there is the direct-to-consumer market. Now that is such a massive space at this point in time. Companies such as Alibaba and Amazon are dominating this space. I mean, in China alone, 30% of all sales happens on the internet. So think to yourself, if 30% already in 2020 has moved online, will we even see retail spaces in China in the next 10, 15, 20 years? There's a big likelihood that no, we will never see a retail store in China again. Now, the rest of the world might be behind that, but the trend looks exactly the same. The trend is upwards. People are moving everything online. Think about your company where they store data. Back in the day, you had these massive rooms in companies with these systems that store the data on. And you'd have to lock those gates for somebody not to enter that for a data breach. If the company had to burn down goodbye data, it's insane, but that's how it worked. Backtrack even a couple more years, people were using paper-based filing cabinets and locking the filing cabinet, and that was the company's data storage method. It's insane, whereby now everything is stored in the cloud. And we can see the trends all around the world, from companies, individuals, everybody moving towards a cloud-based system. It's changing. But back to the way you worked in 2020. Moving on to 2021, where it's very likely that some of the workforce will return to their office space. But how are you going to get there? There's many options. We've got trains running, which saves you fuel. We've got Uber and Lyft, whereby you can order your own, call it taxi or service to take you from point A to point B. In fact, in some places in the world, people reverted to selling their vehicles and only making use of services such as Uber. But even more disruptive than that in the automotive industry, think of internal combustion engines. The way we know engines and vehicles to be made for many, many years. That's changing. If we look at dominating powerhouse companies such as Tesla, they're simply taking over this space with electric vehicles. Not only is it cheaper for them to actually manufacture these vehicles, it's also more sustainable and eco-friendly to the environment, which all makes sense for the future, once again. And the scary thing is, all of these things that I've explained, from ordering things online, from ordering a Tesla, everything can be done online. All of the above that we've just mentioned. So ordering things online, paying for things online, even buying a Tesla online is possible, is facilitated by electronic payments. Now, a company such as Shopify, all they do is they facilitate the transactions between you, the consumer, and the e-commerce business. But a very interesting fact, they have no product. They don't actually take the products from a warehouse to you. No, once again, they facilitate the transaction alone. But if you were to take the entire Shopify sales, it would be the third biggest e-commerce business by virtue of sales in the United States. But how interesting is that? They've got the third most sales, but they don't own anything. They don't have any warehouses or products to distribute to you as the consumer. It's insane where the world is going. My question is, when you think about your money, where is your money currently positioned? Is it positioned for the world we live in right now? Because then you're going to have a tough time as a long-term investor. When I say long-term investor, essentially what are we trying to do? We're putting our pot of money into something in the hope that it grows at the best possible rate over a long term. Okay, but as we said, think in just a year's time how the world has changed, just in a year. So just to conclude, there's two ways that you as the consumer, the person watching this video, must make sure that your money is developing with the times. Number one, a review. When last did you see your financial advisor? When last did you guys discuss your investment portfolio in detail to make sure that you are part of this rapid changing investment world? Second of all, the only known investment strategy in order for you to capture all of this upside, but also minimize your risk on the downside, is by diversification. So just a final thing, when you do discuss the strategy surrounding these rapid changing industries, it's also your responsibility to make sure that you are protecting the downside that you have with the diversification put in place. Get serious about your money, adapt with the times, adapt in your personal capacity with your money, and also on a work level. Thank you so much for joining. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to hit the WhatsApp button. If you want to make sure that you are positioned correctly, you're welcome to email me, or once again tap on the WhatsApp button. Ask me questions you need to ask, and we'll see if you are actually in a position to capture some of these industries' upside.